Here are some handy tips for when you're just getting started in Satisfactory. When you're crafting, and you will do a lot of manual crafting especially early on, but even later on because you kinda have to, there will be items that will be needed in order to produce the factories that could otherwise build them. And so you'll be tempted to do this, right? You're just holding down left click, trying to craft stuff. Unfortunately you can't move the mouse around, but it just sticks around. Well, a little in fact, you can press spacebar to do the exact same thing, and I find that a lot less painful to hold down for long periods. The other thing is, remember you can queue things up. So you can queue things up from in here if you need to build things out of particular materials, but you can also queue things up from within the build menu. So you want to make a miner mark 1, okay, there we go. These are the things that we need for that. Alright, but what if I want to actually, what if I need to build those portable miners and I don't know what's involved with them? Well, I can add that to the queue as well. And that makes it a lot easier. So what I will often do is I will pick something that I want to build, and then if it has components, I will go to where those components are and also select all of those things. And finally, remember to use your shortcuts bar. Now obviously in this game right now we haven't actually unlocked a whole lot of stuff, so we don't necessarily need to put that much stuff in there, but I quite like, for example, having the splitter and merger available. I quite like having the lift available at short notice. And then the next thing will require us moving to a more advanced world. So there are a couple of things you should know about your shortcuts. So one thing, remember when you increase tiers to actually go into your shortcut bar and swap out your items. So you by default you're going to have power pole 1. Maybe you're going to want power pole 3. By the way, to do this, what you need to do is you just press the shortcut key on top of the when you're hovering over the item. So here I have Mark 3s here, I've got Mark 4s there. It's all about what you currently have available to you and what items you can use to build. So I can build these power poles, and these are Mark 1 power poles. I could but now I've got the technology and the gear, I'll often want to build at least Mark 2s, and of course I say 2 and I then immediately get rid of it. One other thing that you may not have realized about the electrical power line, it produces a pole, but this one unfortunately is always a Mark 1 power pole rather than a Mark 2 or Mark 3. Finally, conveyor belts and lifts can be upgraded in place. So if I go to the build menu here and I build a bunch of conveyor belt 1 in logistics, so I build, say, first I need to build a pole. Let's just build this pole here and to here. Now if I build a conveyor Mark 1, I can go from these 2 points, and then I can actually select it and upgrade it in place. So that makes things a lot easier for later on. And similarly, I can take my lifts and I can do the same thing. So if for some reason I were to build a conveyor lift Mark 1 and do that, and remember you can actually place these however you want, then I could later upgrade them. Let's just link these up. And so I can just upgrade this by going and selecting the conveyor, and there. You get your materials returned to you and it's upgraded in place. And that I find really useful for just going through when you've got more materials later on, and you can go through and just upgrade your factory very quickly and eliminate some of the minor inefficiencies. Like when you look through a factory like this, which is of course a complete mess, you do eventually want to upgrade even the little linking pieces. And I would remind you to be very careful when you do this. So I'll go over here and kind of point out a place where I encountered this. So one thing I noticed when I was setting up this manufacturer up here to build computers, I needed wire, and this conveyor belt was going oddly slowly, and I couldn't figure out why, because I was pretty sure I had enough production to meet demand. And upon investigating it, there was a tiny conveyor belt in here somewhere that was a Mark 1. I think it might have been one of the lower ones. I've since remodeled it, so it's much harder to tell. But yeah, oh yes, of course, because I've added a completely separate one. But there was a tiny conveyor belt that was still a Mark 1, and that slowed absolutely everything down. And the other thing, and just one final piece, you can actually downgrade in place as well as upgrade in place. So I guess if you're desperate for particular materials, you could do that. Or maybe you just determine that you don't need the speed of a higher one. You can just replace the whole chain if you want. I mean, it's a dumb idea, and you probably shouldn't do it, but you can. I mean, it's a free world, or at least some parts of the world are free. Probably not the world that you're actually playing on in Satisfactory, at least not as far as Fixit's concerned. And those are just some quick tips for today. I'll see you next time. Bye.